So it's been a minute since I actually did like a proper like Monday with Mayday and like did like film reviews and stuff. So I thought I would hop back on that. So hi, how are you? It's me, Mayday, back with another video, and today we're going to talk about a TV series that I spent not a significant, well, I don't know, it probably is a ridiculous amount to spend on, but yeah, I spent a lot of money on a CD from a different country to watch a TV show because I had watched a little bit of it online, couldn't find the rest of it, and got obsessed with it, and then I had to, find it. So you might be thinking, what was worth me spending the amount of money I did, and how much did I spend? Don't worry, we're gonna get to that, right? So the name of this series, right, is called Eyewitness. So the name of the series is called Eyewitness. It is Norwegian, and it's essentially, I'm not gonna read the back of it because like you'd honestly just like Google it, right? But it's essentially about these two boys that are kind of like in this romance. So I know, when did this become a video channel? I don't know, but I'm accepting it, right? But they're kind of sort of in like this relationship, not really, and they witness this murder, and the murderer, like they basically like see one of the boys and like, he's considered an eyewitness, and like a bunch of other stuff like happens. We're gonna explain like what happens, and I think it's 6 episodes. It's a 6-episode series. So I only watched the first 3 online, couldn't find the rest of it, and then I was like devastated. I was like, I have to watch the rest of it. So after much research, I found out that there was, actually, I did end up finding it online. So what happened was I ended up finding it online, and it didn't have any subtitles, so I couldn't understand what they were saying because it is in Norwegian, and I don't speak Norwegian, right? Actually, how I found this series was actually, I gotta go back. How I found this series was kind of crazy, right? So I go onto, Instagram, right? Because I had just gotten into, I seen like these fan edits of this clip for this TV series called Scam, which if you don't know what Scam is, it's really, really good. The translation from it is shame. And it's like this series that follows like these high schoolers and like their lives, but the way that it's shot and portrayed, it's like you actually feel like you're a part of their lives. Like I completely fell in love with the format of how like the director, like how she like portrayed it. Like she would post clips, videos, like text messages in between each character, exactly the day and the time that it happened, so you feel like you're going through, what the character's going through. And she do this all the way up until like the end of the week, and then stitch everything together for the episode, which I thought was like super cool, right? The same network, NRK, had produced this one. Now, why I wasn't able really to find this online or really anywhere is I don't really know. It's not even on the network, it's not listed there, and there was like not 1, not 2, but 3 adaptations of this show specifically that had made their like appearance. So I'm very confused about what happened because they're not anywhere. Not any of the adaptations are not anywhere. So I was fortunate enough to find at least 2 adaptations. I found another one because I originally had saw the French version of this called Les Innocents, and I'd seen like little clips of that, and I was like, okay, let me try to go watch that, and I ended up finding the original, which I only found the first 3 episodes for. So after I found that, I was like scrambling to find it, could only find like ones that didn't have English subtitles. So I went onto Amazon and was able to find this. They did sell in the UK that already had the subtitles added to it, and oh my god, it translated to about like $30 US. So I spent $30 US on this, and I was thinking to myself, like, am I doing this just for the video, just to be able to like watch it? I was thinking like to send it back, but like I also thought about it too, like I'm the type of person to rewatch shows, so it really wasn't that big of a deal for me, right? It's a really good show. It's a really good show. So if you're here just for like the BL aspect of it, I will say like this one in particular wasn't as strong as the US version, but we're gonna get to that because I thought it'd be fun to not only talk about this show, but just compare it to the US show to see like the differences. And at the end of like the series, because I'm gonna talk about each episode, and we're gonna do like each YouTube posting will have like their own episode, and then compare it and come to our own conclusions. So that's what we're gonna do. Now legally, this is where I this is why this video like took forever for me to like figure out, right? One, it's gonna be a lot of editing for me to do because I don't think I can show this version in particular on YouTube because it's not under like US like jurisdictions for like, you know, copyright. I do think, however, I can show the US version, and if I can't, then I'll have to re-upload it, a different version of the video. So essentially this is like the tester video before I make the other ones, so you know, you have to bear with me on that. I also have a bunch of other stuff that I'm neglecting to do, so I'm gonna do those as well while I talk about the video. So without further ado, we're gonna get into the first episodes of each of the adaptations, the other series, right? Before we even get into it, the French version, Late Innocence, right? I did find on Amazon, but it did not have subtitles. So I will leave like the link in the description for you to see, like if you happen to speak French, or if you just want to check this out, like you can. And I will tell you, if you are looking for the US version, just search it up online. I'm not gonna link it because I don't want to get in trouble with that, or you know, mess up anybody's like ability to watch whatever. So the series is gonna have 10 episodes, but I know that this one only has 6, but the US version had 10. So I'm not going to mash together episodes. I'm just gonna talk about it, and actually I think this one has 8. I don't remember. I'm not going to smash together like the story. I'm just gonna do episode 1 versus episode 1 and so on. So sit back, relax, get you your popcorn, your tea, your juice. Make sure you say hi to your neighbors. I forgot to mention that this show came out in 2014. The adaptations came, I want to say like 1 or 2 years like later. Forgot to mention the final adaptation, which was on HBO. You know that it was canceled after 3 episodes. So I'm not sure if something happened, but after that 3rd episode, literally all of them just like kind of disappeared off the network and everywhere. So I was not really sure what happened, because originally I wanted to compare the entire series like to each other, but yeah, I don't know where to find English subtitles for the France version. Let's get into it. I'm washing money because I need to. Well, actually I don't really need to, but like I've never done it before, and like I got in touch with like this side hustle that I have, and before anybody makes up some assumptions, it's just Instacart. And yeah, the money that I had gotten, it smelled like cigarettes, so I was like, I had to wash it, so that's why I'm washing money. So I'm gonna wash the money on top of also talking about the first episode. I'll talk briefly about the episode in the bathroom, but the angle wasn't good, so I'm gonna try it again. Story starts off, and I'm also like trying to like plan outfits for tomorrow, so if you see me preoccupied trying to do that, that's fine. It starts off with them dirt biking in the middle of the night, and Henning is on the dirt bike while Philip is recording him, essentially, right? Hold on to that thought. Procrastinating. So, what do you think? Like, these pants? Essentially, Philip is recording Henning on the dirt bike, right? So that he can, I don't know. I think he does it for like a channel or whatever. We find that out later. Actually, this is a look. I'm not even filming at the dirt bike, and then they go inside the shack next to the quarry, which is where they're at, like dirt biking. And immediately after they look at the videos and stuff, they start getting stuff on. Also, don't worry about the fit. We won't talk about it. Cut to this dude in a gas station. He steals somebody's phone to make a phone call. The phone call is very elusive, and he seems kind of panicked. He's mentioning that there's a guy in the trunk of the car, or whatever's like going on, whatever situation that he's in, and he doesn't know where they are, where they're going, and he's just like, I guess, trying to give like this person like on the phone like information. It's a woman's voice, but that's all we know. From what the guys that we can conclude, it's some sort of like affiliation maybe, but it's unclear, right? So they end up driving all the way down to the quarry where Henning and Philip is, you know, doing their thing. So they do that, and then after that guy, right, they well, after that, Philip and Henning, they hide, you know, because they don't want anyone to know if they're there doing what they're doing. So after they hide, the dude gets out of the car. The leader, I guess, tells him, hey, you know, go get the guy from like the trunk, and we'll wait for everybody else to get here. So he does this, and for some reason he's like, hey dude, I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna help you, okay? You know, I have a gun, in my waistband, and you know, if you're with me, we'll get through this together. So the dude just like kind of nods in the trunk. We're gonna call him Ronnie because that is his actual name in the series, and just so you don't get confused when we talk about the other series. So Ronnie's kind of like, yeah, sure, whatever, you know, I was tied up in the back of a car, I'd do anything too. Brings him out, unties him, and you know, to tell him, you know, play along. Immediately, when Ronnie gets into full view of everybody, he takes everybody out without hesitation. Like, he takes the gun from the dude and kills everybody, even the dude that was trying to help him. Something happens in the cabin because the boys are witnessing this, and they make a noise or something, and Ronnie is alerted to some movement in the cabin. So he goes into the cabinet, and the boys hide. Henny is behind the door, and Philip is hiding terribly underneath the bed, like feet sticking out. Like, it's just like you want it to be caught. Like, I wish I could demonstrate it to you. Like, it's like he's just like this on the other side of the bed. Philip sees the dude sees Philip. They seen each other, and Philip's like, bro, like, you don't have to do this, please don't, like, you know, he was trying to like off the dude that was trying to help him. So, you know, I don't hold out much hope. Right before he pulls the trigger though, Henning hits him over the head with the frying pan to knock him out and takes the gun. Henning takes the gun and he starts firing into the cabin because he thinks the dude was like moving. So they do that, and then they go to a nearby like pond where they ditch the gun. Now Philip, being the smart one, was like, hey, you know, let's go tell the police. That's what any normal person would do. And he was like, no, we're not telling the police anything, because then they're gonna ask what we were doing in the cabin and everyone's gonna find out, this and third or whatever. Like, he was paranoid. Specific words were, no, we're not telling anybody I'm not gay, right? And I'm thinking to myself, like, bro, you just witnessed a murder. That should be the least of your worries right now, right? But to him, that's like a top priority, right? And I can't say that I understand it to that degree, but like I get it, dude. You witnessed a murder, anyways. And because Henning had basically like saved his life, he, for some reason, Philip feels indebted to Henning. So he's like, you know what? No, I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't tell a soul, because he's like really into him. Because Henning kind of like did what he did. I'm not gonna say that he didn't. He saved like Philip's like life. So Philip feels indebted to him, but like in such a way that's like he's okay with literally anything like Henning does. Like, if he didn't already like him before, he's in love with him now, you know, type vibes. So that happens. The boys go home and act like nothing happened, and you know, Philip is like keeping his word because Henning like saved his life, so you know he owes him. And basically, you know, Henning can like treat him like crap, but we'll get to that part later. Fruit, because he's like really into him. So they ditch the gun in the pond, evidence, and then they go about their separate like lives and act like nothing happens, right? So we find out a little bit afterwards that Philip's mom is not in the picture. Like, she's a drug addict, I believe, and he's being fostered by, I think, his birth dad and the foster mom, which is Helen. So she's like kind of like a cop, right? So important information, hold on to that for later. The next day, Henning's dad goes down to the quarry and notices everything in a disarray and calls the police. There's like dead bodies, and it would appear that the dude burned down like the shack because it's burnt. So, you know, he was like just trying to cover the evidence, right? So the police end up finding some evidence, which is Helen's, you know, Helen, which is Philip's stepmom. She's like a part of that whole thing. And the FBI just happened to like show up. She's like, you know, trying to press her for information, and the FBI is not budging at all. One of the agents, right, Camilla, recognizes one of the bodies and starts like breaking down, but like keeps it together, right? We later find out that distraught because he was an informant for them, and not only an informant, but her sister is with the dude that died, right? Camilla's sister is with the dude that died, and it's a biker gang affiliation. So the sister could potentially be in danger if, you know, they release information, which is why they didn't tell anybody, right? But I didn't know they were FBI agents. I thought they were affiliated with whatever was going on, because they didn't look like, you know, FBI agents. Like, the way she casually strode up in like a cool leather jacket, like, you know, I ain't never seen no FBI agent look like that, right? Philip's kind of like distraught, and Henning's kind of distraught. I think Philip makes a random remark about seeing a dead body once everybody realized what's going on. And the parents kind of like ask him like, oh, have you seen a dead body before? And he makes up some weird story about his mom and like one of her like, you know, many boyfriends ODing in front of him. So, you know, it was just kind of like weird. He was being weird about it, in my opinion. Philip gets on the bus and he sees Ronnie, you know, the dude that killed everyone, and he's like freaking out. So he gets able to get off the bus and he goes to the police station with Helen to try to like tell her everything that was going on. Like they were there, they witnessed it, everything, even though he promised Henning that he wouldn't. Helen for some reason gets called away, I think by Camilla, so she can explain to him or explain to her that everything that was going on and why they were there. So she kind of like blows like Philip off, and they kind of talk about how she can't release information about the biker and the fact that he was working with the FBI because that's going to put her in danger. So she kind of reluctantly agrees but doesn't agree. Like, you know, like she's kind of like wishy-washy about it. We don't really know what she's going to do. So after that happens, Philip is still there and Henning ends up like showing up, and you know, he's kind of worried that Philip is there because he's like, bro, I thought we agreed that we weren't going to say anything. But come to find out, they found dirt bike tracks at the scene of the crime, and the only dirt biker in the town is Henning. So they asked what he was doing there, and Henning makes up this story about how he was there stealing gas from his dad to use for his dirt bike and how he was getting in trouble. So that was just pretty much it. That's all anybody knows, and that's the story that he's sticking to. So later, Henning visits Philip, and he was like, oh, I thought we weren't gonna like say anything. He says that he didn't, and basically implies that he'll like do anything for Henning. And I get that he likes him, but like Philip's self-respect is lacking, and I guess this is like a first time like feeling for him, and I get that, and I get that they're like also like kind of sort of friends, maybe not friends. Like it's just weird, but Henning basically kind of like blows him off and is like, oh, you don't have to do that, and like kind of like breadcrumbing him just a little bit, I think, to keep him like silent. And I was like, okay, you know, this happens, and the police do their investigation and speak to the public about everything that's happened, because it's like, this is a small town, you can't really keep any of that stuff quiet. And Helen keeps her word and keeps the police and FBI involvement outside of the case, but does start a manhunt for whoever was in the back seat, because I think they found sort of like evidence or something, or they were just looking for anything. So they started a database search. There's a hit for this girl named Zara. She's 15 and she's been declared like missing. So we see Zara and she's just like walking on the street, doesn't look too good, appears to be kind of rough. I think she's picked up by the police and taken to the hospital where she's about to get, you know, questioned and all this other stuff, but she ends up escaping and going to her dad. Her dad, his name is Hammett, and he's a narcotics like drug like overlord. She goes to her dad. The dad kind of like not dismisses her, but is like kind of upset with her and just has her like taken away so he can like deal with her later. And she tries to escape like from her dad's place, and it's not happening. Pretty much the gist of like episode 1. That's where it kind of cuts off at like Zara's story. So now we're gonna go over to the US version, right? Which the events of like everything that happened, the exact same. I'm back and I'm doing my hair. I'm doing my hair now. Hang on, now let's talk about the US version of Eyewitness, right? Okay, so everything is pretty much the same, right? Except for Ling is Lucas in the adaptation. They kept like the name Philip, but I guess changed it to a more American name. So his name is Lucas, and Lucas is kind of like, I don't know, like he's kind of like I hate to use like food analogies to like compare people, but he's kind of like sweet and spicy when it comes to like Philip and like their relationship, because one minute he's like super aggressive and the next he's like, oh, super sweet. Still not an excuse. Don't let anybody treat you any type of way, right? Cabin and stuff is still the same. The only big like difference to note is that Philip has like this embroidered like, I want to say like a bomber jacket or something. In this adaptation, instead of Ronnie, his name is Ryan. So that's the name of the killer. So Ryan sees this bomber jacket, and you know, that's like, I guess how he's like able to like see him. And there wasn't actually like an exchange where like they could like see each other's like faces and like be able to like recognize them like it was in the original adaptation. So the killer only saw the jacket, but it is implied like later that he saw his face, like Philip saw Ryan's face. So just do it that way you will. In this one too as well, Philip's mom is present, but I don't think that it's the same situation. I think that Helen and her husband have fostered children before, and they're just fostering again is what it like basically seems like, right? That, and then the fact that it's like a really, really small town, like even smaller than like the one in the original adaptation. It appears to be like somewhere around like New York. I don't know exactly where, but yeah, it's like around like New York. Another big thing to note is that Ryan, when he got knocked out by Lucas, he staged the crime scene. Like, he was barefoot, but he ended up like taking the socks and clothes of another person and like made it seem like it was just like a homicide or something. Another big change that they made is that, you know, Camilla's sister, don't really know her name in this adaptation, not really important. Sister is a bit more active in this series than the other series. So for this one, the sister is trying to collect some sort of pay stub from, his name is Chris, the guy that like died in the beginning trying to help Ryan. She was trying to collect pay stubs to like support their child because I guess she needed it as like proof of income or something. And the dude, for some reason, would just not give it to her. He said that like the dude ended up quitting or whatever. So she pulls a gun on him and is trying to like get him to get the pay stub. And another mentionable note is that the sister is way more involved in the gang than the other sister was. She's got gang tattoos, so you know that's another important thing. And here's another like difference that really made me mad. So Lucas and Philip, they go to school together. Lucas is very like standoffish. He's with this girl named Rose or whatever, like with her. And I think Philip was trying to talk to him about like, you know, the situation that had happened, because, you know, he's still in the same like, oh, you saved my life, I'm not gonna say anything type stuff. And Lucas is a lot sweeter than Henning was in the original series, and like, you know, it's obvious that like Lucas cares about like Philip. But he was going to like, I guess, discuss something about like the happened that night, and saying how Helen had only found 3 bodies when there was 4 people at the cabin, so they should be worried about it. And a normal person, I guess, would like, you know, react in that situation however they're gonna react and like be worried and paranoid. But, you know, they've already established that that they're not gonna say anything because, you know, Lucas is uncomfortable and doesn't want people to find out. Whatever. And his first instinct, because I think somebody like says something about Philip going up to Lucas, is to just automatically hit him, which was wild to me. And it wasn't like a oh, like, no, he like punched the mess out of like his like cheek or whatever. So yeah, so another thing we're mentioning too, like after like their whole like fight, like altercation, nothing really happens. But Helen, before that, she had like talked about the case to her husband and is weirdly like excited about it, even though it was like a bunch of like death, because it gives her like purpose. We get like some sense that like wherever she was before, she was doing more like prominent cases, and now like, you know, she's in a town where nothing really happens, and now something happens and she's kind of excited about it. And her husband is kind of like, girl, you excited about it? Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, so Lucas, then after the whole thing where he beats him up, calls him a bitch, just like trying to assert his dominance or whatever. And Philip is I guess kind of confiding into his foster parents about like the situation, but they kind of just write it off as like, oh, you know, being bullied, you know, for sexuality and stuff. So Helen and Camilla kind of like exchange information, kind of like, you give me like this, I'll give you like that. So they start like a little partnership, but like they gotta keep it on the down low because Camilla's in the FBI and she's the police chief, and I think the FBI is trying to like take over the case, but it's in their jurisdiction. I don't know, something weird like that. Helen, we get a small glimpse into like her past. She's going to go revisit a case. We don't know what the case is, but she still has the evidence from it, and it shakes her like up, you know, like she's visibly like shaken, even like opening up the box. After that, it cuts back to Lucas and Philip, who make up like weirdly and like make out, and it's just like, I thought this was gonna be another case where Philip just has like no type of like self-respect at all. But to my surprise, like Philip had a lot more self-respect in like this series versus the original. Lucas is like still, you can tell he's still into like Philip, and Philip is like telling him like, oh, you know, giving him an ultimatum, like, you can't keep putting me on a hook like this, like, you know, you either choose Rose and whatever, or you choose me, and that's just what it is. So disappointed that Lucas is disappointed that Philip is kind of like giving him this ultimatum, so he just kind of like, I guess, festers and it's like, oh, woe is me, nobody wants me to be this guy type of stuff. And you know, it is what it is. Just talk about it a little bit, and weirdly, Lucas brings up Philip's mom being a drug addict, which is crazy to me to talk about, but yeah, so they just have a kind of like a little argument. Philip goes to leave to get on the bus. On the bus, he sees Ryan, and Ryan doesn't, I don't think, recognizes like him, you know? So he just like kind of gets off the bus and I think tries to tell Helen, but Helen ends up like, you know, doing the same thing she did in the first series. And I forgot to mention, when they were at school right before Lucas and Philip got into a fight, you see Philip exchange his jacket with another classmate, exchange for a camera. So Philip no longer has a jacket, his classmate like has it. We also cut back to Ryan, who is looking up the schools to see if he could find like the jacket, because he knows that it belongs to like a kid, and he is able to find the jacket but not like see the face. Like the face is still like obscured on like the school, so he knows what high school, like Ryan knows, but he doesn't know like who it is. Yeah, that's pretty much where it ends, is Philip seeing Ryan on the bus. So that's the end of the first episode for the American adaptation. Now the biggest differences, right, is the US adaptation. Philip has a backbone, which I loved, because we gonna get to all this other BS in the original and the next episode. But when I tell you, I was so overjoyed because, you know your worth. Know your worth. That, and then another noticeable difference is that the US version really slows down and puts a little bit more detail into the story. Not like a huge, significant amount, but just enough to like justify 10 episodes, honestly. Like it was a little bit like nicer for them to put a little bit more detail into it, and I feel like some of the details just didn't make any sense. Like Helen's backstory and her whole like being haunted like by another case, I get where they were going to, but I feel like they didn't have enough time to set it up, and it was just kind of like random. And like even like me watching the series, it was kind of unclear what happened. They don't clarify really what happened. You just know something like tragic like happened, and the implications of the tragedy, which we'll get into like later episodes. So that's another big difference. And then the OG version is more involved in the case than Philip and Henning's relationship, which I don't know if they just threw it in there, but I feel like it low-key does make sense of like why they're eyewitnesses and why they didn't want to like go forward, you know, with what they did. Well, at least one of them. The other had Philip had common sense, but like Henning / Lucas, no type of common sense, whatever. Those are the really big changes. I gotta say, if we're starting off like strong with like the first episodes and the comparison, I do like the US one a little bit more, just for the first episode, because of the detail that they put in. So I'm gonna have to get the point to the US version. So yeah, but we're able to find it and watch it, and let me know what you think below. But we'll get to the next episodes and the next video. Don't know how long in between I will be able to like make the episodes or the videos, because I am a little bit busy doing other stuff, but I'm gonna try my best to get the entire 10 videos done, so that they're just out there. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video and you do want to see the next episodes, please let me know, and maybe it'll encourage me to, you know, get my life together. And we're gonna hope that the first time I upload this with the videos, it does not get taken down. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Hi everybody. Editing mayday, sort of, kind of, right? Because I'm gonna be editing clips from Melanie Martinez concert, so I just want to briefly explain what happened, right? We went to the concert, it was great, Stan Melanie. And so when we were at the concert, me and my sister in the back, like on the floor, right? And I texted like the number because it was like for free upgrades, text like Trilogy to, you know, get the upgrade. I didn't think anything like of it, like I was gonna like win, but I was joking about my sister that, you know, I be delusional sometimes, you know. I be thinking I'm getting the whole Your Name experience when I go to like concerts and stuff, right? And surprise, we won the tickets. Like, it was the most crazy thing ever. And I thought we were just getting like a little bit upgraded, like a little closer, maybe up on the top, but we were like second row to barricade. Like, it was crazy. So very fun experience. Shout out to Melody, great concert. I'm gonna be posting the videos and the pics at the end for fit of the day so you can see the fit. There was a lot of cute fits out there. I wish I could, like, you know, post them, but I didn't. I unfortunately did not get their consent to like put them in the video, so I'm not going to. But yeah, that's really good. That's the video. And yeah, bye-bye.
Living the fantasies. What if the stars are distant planets? Can I seek shelter? Can I